Dogs get stressed just like humans. Are you able to identify crucial signs of anxiety in pups? Doing so could prevent trauma and injury. That's why Denise is here to let us know what to look out for. Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Denise.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
So this might be a basic question, but I'm not a dog owner, so I'm so curious.
Sure.
What does a dog trainer do?
Well, my business cards say that I help pets train people, so that's what I like to think I do. I think a good dog trainer is using positive reinforcement to help your dog learn to live a happier, safer life in a human world.
Yeah. And speaking of that, we want our humans to interact with those dogs safely
Yes.
as well. So what do we need to be looking out for in terms of dog stress?
Well, I think a lot of people know some of the basics of dog body language. The ears go back, the body gets stiff, some of those things. But there are some really subtle cues that if you learn to recognize those things, they come way before the growl or the bite. And so some simple things like lip licking and yawning. And I get a lot of questions from folks about, well, my dog gets up and stretches and yawns. Okay, that's in context. But when you see some of those things out of context, then that is a sign that maybe your dog is a little uncomfortable.
So it could be just as simple as yawning.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, and then that leads and builds to...
It does. There's kind of a chain that scales up, and typically before you ever get to the growl or the bite, there's been a whole lot of things that have happened down here at the bottom that we typically miss. And sometimes, even if we know the signs, they happen so quickly that you don't have time to intervene.
Mm-hmm. What do we need to do if we see that our pups are stressed out?
Intervene immediately. Now, that's going to look different for different situations, different dogs, but I think in general, one of the first things you can do is create space. Give your dog some room, whether it's a kid or another park, or you're at a bar or restaurant, or there's a dog. Create some space and get away. I'm not a fan of intentionally stressing out an animal just to get them over it. I hate crickets. Flinging them at me isn't going to make me feel better.
Right, yes. So if you are in a bar or restaurant, you suggest taking your dog away, like going for a walk with
Sometimes,
them?
yeah. I mean, I do appointments with folks in situations like that, and sometimes it can be as simple as just get up and take a lap, right?
Yeah.
Go sniff something, go potty, and then you might be able to come back and sit down and sort of just recollect yourself. But sometimes you really do need to just get out of there. It's just not an appropriate situation, or, especially in a bar or restaurant patio, something's happened.
Sure.
That those environments are unpredictable.
Yeah. So speaking of that, that's kind of preemptive, right? But what happens when there is an incident, right, with a dog? Is there a way to calm the dog down, or maybe the dog went after a kid or another family member? What do we need to do in that situation?
Well, in that situation, again, we want to create space. We want to separate those folks as quickly as possible. By folks, I mean dogs too. Dogs are people too.
Sure.
So you want to get them apart. Take the dog somewhere where they can calm down. They can de-escalate. Obviously, check on the other person, especially if it's a child. Let's make sure what does the injury look like? Do we need to go to the hospital? Do we need stitches? Some of those kinds of things. And then I think after that happens, let's circle back and call a professional and loop somebody in and get some help, get some eyes on that.
Yeah,
Sure, absolutely.
That's great.
Thanks so much for joining
Yes,
us
thank
today.
you.
Watch for those signs from your pups.
Yeah.
Turns out they are just like humans and sometimes just need a little bit
Need some
of
space.
to
Take
get
a
away.
lap.
Yeah,
Sometimes I feel like I need to as well. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Denise.